So today we're going to be reading There's a Forest Near Our Town Where People Go Missing. My daughter came back, but she's not the same. I don't know how this is not super long, but I'm bored right now, so I thought why not make a couple of videos, I guess. Um, so yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it. I can't stop pacing. The old wooden floor creaks with every step, a constant reminder of how empty our house feels. The smell of burnt coffee hangs in the air. I almost forgot to turn off the machine again. Outside, the wind blows through the trees, making colorful autumn leaves dance. My name's John Prescott. I'm 42, teach history at a local high school, and right now I'm living every parent's worst nightmare. Our town, Pelham, is a kind of place where you see on postcards. White picket fences, cute little shops, and a church so old it was around before America was even a country. Tourists love it here, especially in the fall when the trees turn all orange and red. But Pelham has its secrets. I should know, I've spent years studying our town's history. There are old stories that don't make it into the guidebooks, whispers about Blackwood Forest that surrounds us. Strange things have happened there over the years. I never thought my family would become part of those stories. John? My wife's voice snaps me out of my thoughts. Sarah stands in the doorway, looking like she hasn't had slept in days. To be honest, neither of us has. Anything new? I shake my head. Not yet. The police chief said they're bringing in some expert from Boston, but I don't finish a sentence. We both know what I'm thinking. Sarah sits on the couch, clutching her phone like a lifeline. I'm expecting her to call or text. I sit next to her, putting my arm around her shoulders. For a minute, we're quiet, both lost in memory of our daughter Emily. Emily was on her first day of school, all smiles and pigtails. Emily winning the science fair, grinning from ear to ear. Emily last week, laughing at my terrible jokes, and Emily yelling that she hated me before running out the door. I should have gone after her, I say quietly. Sarah squeezes my hand. We both thought she'd come back. She always did before. But not this time. Not after our stupid fight about a sleepover. Someone knocks on our door, making us both jump. I rush to open it, hoping against hope, but it's not Emily. It's Chief Parker, looking worried. John, Sarah, can I come in? We need to talk. In the kitchen, Sarah makes fresh coffee while I sit across from the chief. What's going on, Dave? Did you find something? He sighs, taking off his hat. Not exactly, but something's happened. You're not gonna like it. Sarah sets down 3 coffee mugs, her hand shaking a little. Just tell us. We had to stop all search parties in Blackwood Forest, he says. What? Why? I'm on my feet before I know it. Chief Parker holds up his hands. Please sit down. There's more. I sit, feeling like the room is spinning. Sarah grabs my hand under the table. 3 of our volunteers have gone missing, the chief continues. Just vanished. Like Emily. My mouth goes dry. That's not possible. But even as I say it, I remember old stories I've read. The ones about people disappearing in the forest. There's something else, Chief Parker says, his voice low. Something strange happened last night. We found someone wandering at the edge of town. Someone who went missing a long time ago. A chill runs down my spine. I think about the stories I've researched about people coming back different. Suddenly, I feel dizzy. The kitchen seems to blur around me, and for a split second, I think I hear Emily's voice far away, but clear. Daddy? Where are you? And then everything snaps back to normal. The chief and Sarah are looking at me worried. Are you okay? I nod, but I'm not okay, because in that weird moment, I saw something. A dark cave. And Emily was there, smiling. But something wasn't right about her eyes. We need to go back to the forest, I say, my voice shaky but determined. Now. Because whatever's happening in that Blackwood Forest, whatever took my daughter, I have a feeling it's not over yet. The drive to Blackwood Forest is tense. Sarah sits behind me, her knuckles white as she grips the door handle. Chief Parker follows in his cruiser, lights flashing but sirens off. The last thing we need is to draw more attention. As we near the forest edge, I spot something moving in the shadows. I slam on the brakes, causing Sarah to launch forward. John, what? She starts, but then she sees it too. A figure standing at the tree line, unnaturally still. It's a man, or what used to be a man. His skin is pale, almost translucent in the fading light, but it's his eyes that make my stomach churn. They're fixed on us, unblinking. Oh my God, Sarah whispers, her voice trembling. The man's head turns towards us, movement too slow or too smooth like a camera panning. For a moment, he just stares. Then, as if pulled by some invisible force, he begins walking towards the road, towards town. His gait is odd, each step precisely the same length as the last. Chief Parker rolls up beside her, rolling down his window. Don't get out of the car, he warns. We've seen this before. They can't seem to enter the town limits. As if to prove his point, the man suddenly stops at the faded welcome to Pelham sign. He sways on his feet a little, looking confused. What do you mean, they? Sarah asked. How many are there? The chief's expression is grim. We've counted 7 so far, all missing persons from the last few decades. And all changed. I watch as a man paces along the invisible boundary, his movements becoming more agitated. What happens if they cross? You don't want to know, Parker says quietly. But as the words leave his mouth, a police car rounds the corner, lights blazing. The new officer must have not gotten the memo about our town's strange new residents. He pulls over and steps outside, approaching the educated man. Sir, you all right? You need any help? What happens next will haunt my nightmares for years to come. The moment the officer's hand crosses the town line, the changed man lets out a sound. Not quite a scream, not quite a word, but something in between. His body goes rigid and every muscle tensing at once. He lunges at the officer, his movements a blur. Chief Parker is out of his car in an instant, shouting warnings, but it's too late. The changed man is grappling with the officer, trying to drag him across the line. His strength seems inhuman, his fingers leaving bruises wherever they touch. It takes 3 of them to finally subdue the man, dragging him back into the forest where he immediately calms, becoming almost docile again. The officer is shaken, but alive. As paramedics check him over, I overhear him muttering, his skin, was it right, like touching a man again, but alive. I turn to Sarah, my own horror reflected in her eyes. Emily, she whispers. John, what if... I grab her hand, squeezing, perhaps too tightly. We don't know anything yet. Emily could still be okay. But deep down, a cold dread is settling in my stomach, because I remember the stories now. Stories I dismissed as superstition and folklore. Stories of people returning from the forest changed, unable to rejoin society. What if those stories were true? What if whatever changed these people has my daughter? As twilight deepens, casts a long shadow across the road, Chief Parker approaches the car. We can't go in tonight, he says, with his voice heavy with regret. Too dangerous in the dark. We'll start it again first light. I want to argue and demand we go in now. Every moment we wait is another moment Emily's lost in that forest. But I know he's right. Blackwood Forest is treacherous enough in daylight. At night, it's a death trap. As we drive home, the trees seem to loom over us, branches reaching out like gnarled fingers. I can't shake the feeling that someone is watching us from the darkness. The night as Sarah falls into an easy sleep, I sit at my desk poring over old town records. There has to be a clue. There has to be a pattern. Some clue we've missed. My eyes burn with exhaustion, but every time I close them, I see Emily's face. Just as I'm about to give up, a name catches my eye. Elizabeth Proctor, age 9, missing for 3 days in 1793, found in a cave. Eyes unseeing, speaking words not of this earth. My heart races. A cave. Just like my vision. Outside, a wolf howls, long and mournful, but underneath that familiar sound, I swear, I hear something else. A high, kneeling wail that raises hair on the back of my neck. It sounds almost human. Dawn can't come soon enough. The forest looms over us, and the forest looms before us, a wall green and shadow. The morning mist clings to the ground, weaving between the trees like ghostly fingers. I take a deep breath, tasting the damp earth and decaying leaves on my tongue. Our search party is small. Just me, Sarah, Chief Parker, and 2 of his most trusted deputies. No one else wanted to risk entering Blackwood after what happened yesterday. Stay close, Parker warns as we step past the tree line, and whatever you do not lose sight of each other. The forest swallows us whole, and the canopy above is so thick that it might as well be twilight down here. Our flashlights cut weak paths through the gloom. We walk for what feels like hours, calling Emily's name until our voices are hoarse. The forest seems to absorb the sound, muffling our cries. More than once, I swear I hear a response, a faint "Daddy?" carried on the wind, but when we rush towards it, we find nothing. John! Sarah whispers, tugging on my sleeve. Look! At first I don't see it. Then my eyes adjust, and I feel my blood draining from my face. Carved to a massive oak tree is a symbol, a spiral with a strange angular mark branching off it. It looks old, and the edges were smooth, worn by time and weather. I've seen this before, I murmur, reaching out to trace the lines with my fingers. The bark feels unnaturally warm beneath my touch. Suddenly, a sharp pain lances through my head. I stumble back, spots dancing in my vision. A cave mouth, yawning, widened hillside. Emily sitting cross-legged at the entrance, smiling serenely. Her eyes somehow look wrong, turning to look at me. Come find me, Daddy. I blink, and the vision is gone. Sarah is shaking me, her face pale with worry. John? John, what happened? I open my mouth to respond, but before I can, an unnatural silence falls over the forest. The constant background noise of the birds and insects suddenly stops, leaving an eerie void. Chief Parker raises his gun, eyes darting between the trees. We should go back, his voice tight with fear. But I can't. Not now. The cave! I gasp out. We need to find the cave! Sarah looks at me like I've lost my mind. Maybe I have, but I know with certainty that chills me to the bone that Emily's in that cave. We press on deeper into Blackwood. The trees seem to press closer, branches reaching out like claws, twice more than we experience that unnatural silence, each time lasting longer than before. Then, as we round a dense thicket, we see it. A hill rises before us, and at its base, a dark opening gapes like a wound in the earth. Emily? Sarah cries, standing forward. I grab her arm, holding her back. Because there, sitting at the mouth of the cave, is our daughter. She looks like she did the day she ran away. Same clothes, same messy ponytail. But when she turned to look at us, my heart stops. Her eyes are wrong. Not wide or glowing, but somehow off. As if they focus on something just behind us. And her smile. It's too wide, too still, like a photograph rather than a living expression. You found me, she says, but her lips barely move. The voice seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Emily? I choke out. Baby, are you okay? She tilts her head to the movement too smooth, like a puppet on strings. Okay? I'm wonderful, Daddy. I've never been better. I take a step forward, but Chief Parker grabs my shoulder. Wait, he hisses. Something's not right. As if in response, Emily stands. Her movements are all wrong. Too fluid, as if she's underwater. Do you want to come see? She asks, gesturing to the cave behind her. It's beautiful in here. You'll never want to leave. Sarah lets out a choke sob beside me. I squeeze her hand, trying to project a confidence I don't feel. Emily, I say, fighting to keep my voice steady, we need you to come home now, please. For a moment, something flickers in those strange eyes, a flash of our real daughter. Then it's gone, replaced by an expression of a serene blackness. Home. The world is flat, emotionless. I am home. She takes a step forward, and in that moment, I notice something that turns my blood to ice. Emily's feet don't quite touch the ground. She's hovering, ever so slightly, above the forest floor. My vision blurs, tears or terror, I'm not sure which, because now we have a choice to make. Do we try to bring our daughter home, knowing what might happen to the others who return, or do we leave here, lost in whatever dark magic has taken hold of Blackwood Forest? As Emily takes another step towards us, moving in a way that's just slightly off, I realize with a sinking heart that we may not have a choice at all. The forest has her now, and it might not willingly let her go. It's been 3 months since that day in Blackwood Forest. Life in Pelham has changed irrevocably. We become a town of closed curtains and hushed whispers, eyes always darting to the tree line. Sometimes in the pale light of dawn, a long shadow of dusk, we see her, Emily, or what used to be Emily, standing at the edge of town. She never crosses the invisible boundary. She never tries to enter. She just watches. Her appearance is almost normal now, but there's always something off. Sometimes she stands too still, not even swaying in the breeze. Other times she moves in ways that defy natural motion, her limbs bending at impossible angles. But it's her eyes that haunt me the most, blank and unseeing, yet somehow all-knowing. Sarah spends most of her days in bed, lost in a fog of grief and antidepressants. I've thrown myself into research, poring over ancient texts and folklore, desperate for answers. The government has set up a discreet research facility on the outskirts of town, scientists and paranormal experts working around the clock to understand what's happening in Blackwood. We've learned some things. The symbol we found in the forest appears in obscure occult writings, linked to entities that exist outside of our understanding of reality. There are legends of similar forests in the other parts of the world, places where the veil in between worlds is thin. But knowledge isn't enough. We need a way to reverse this, to bring Emily and the others back, to make them human again. Last week, one of our researchers managed to take a skin sample from the changed ones. Under the microscope, the cells were nothing that they've ever seen before, constantly shifting and rearranging themselves. It's the first real breakthrough we had. The town has changed too. People speak in whispers, afraid that talking too loudly about the forest might draw its attention. Children are kept indoors after dark, where the school where I teach is half empty most days. Parents are too afraid to let their kids out of sight. There have been more disappearances. Not many, but enough to keep the fear alive. Each time the pattern is the same. Someone ventures too close to the forest edge and they are never seen again. At least, not as themselves. The changed ones, Emily's included, had developed a routine. During the day, they retreat into the woods, but at night they emerge, lining along the town's border. They never try to cross, never speak. They just stand there, watching and waiting. For what, we don't know. Is it possible to save Emily? To do undo what the Force did to her? I have to believe it is. Because the alternative, accepting that our daughter's gone forever, is too painful to bear. So we keep working, keep searching, keep hoping. And every evening I walk to the edge of the town. I stand there as the sun sets, looking at the daughter who no longer recognizes me. Sometimes I swear I see a flicker of recognition in those alien eyes. It goes with her smile I used to know. I'm here, Emily, I whisper, gathering to the darkness. I'm not giving up on you. Ever. As night falls and Emily retreats into the shadows of Blackwood, I turn back towards town. Tomorrow we'll try again, and we'll keep trying no matter how long it takes. Because somewhere in that forest, lost whatever madness has taken hold of her, our daughter's waiting to be found, and I won't rest until we bring her home. But sometimes in the dead of the night, when the wind carries strange whispers through the forest, I wonder, are we trying to save Emily, or is Emily trying to change us? The forest is patient. It can wait, and it's always, always hungry. Yikes. Could never imagine something like that happening. But then again, I never know. Anyways, hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and let me know if you have any other r/no sleeps you want me to read. And yeah, love you guys, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.